Hello students, this is the continuation of chapter 4, part 8. In this presentation, I have covered autism spectrum, intellectual disability, specific learning disorder, disruptive impulse control and conduct disorder, and feeding and eating disorders. Autism spectrum disorder. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard about it, but I'm pretty sure most of you have come across this word autism, autistic child, right? So, what exactly is autism spectrum disorder? Autism spectrum disorder, it is characterized by widespread impairments in social interaction and communication skills and stereotyped patterns of behaviors, interests, and activities. So, children with autism spectrum disorder have marked difficulties in social interaction, talking with people, okay, and communication across different contexts, a restricted range of interest, and strong desire for a routine. They have a routine which they often like to follow, and most of them have intellectual disabilities. Disabilities in the sense that they have difficulty in reading and writing and achieving academic promotions and all. They're very uh, difficult for them to achieve. Okay, so they experience profound difficulties in relating to other people and are unable to initiate social behavior and seem unresponsive to other people's feelings. So first, they are not being able to express themselves, and also they're very unresponsive to other people's feelings. What the other people is feeling, this autistic child might not feel the same way. Like other normal child who is not developing, who do not have this autism spectrum disorder, they might very easily relate to other people, but with autistic disorder, the child is not being able to relate to other people and also have difficulty in communication. The child is not able to communicate properly. Whatever he or she is going through, it is very difficult for him or her to share. All right, and they are always in a way that sometimes they will be up very early and get ready and go to school beforehand, before time. Sometimes they will spend uh, hours after school. So like this, they have strong desire for any kind of routine which they want to follow, and they have a very restricted range of interest. And other than that, they also show serious abnormalities in communication and language that persist over time, and many of them never develop speech. And those who have repetitive and defined speech patterns, they will keep on telling the same thing again and again. Okay, and also they also show certain narrow patterns of interest and repetitive behaviors. Now, what they do is that they line up objects, okay, they will just arrange everything in order, or they have a stereotyped body movement, that is they will keep on rocking backward and forward, or they will flap their hands, okay, they like the movement, they like this behavior, so they will keep on doing that only. Okay, and also there are certain motor movements which may be self-stimulatory, such as hand flapping, as I said, or self-injurious, such as banging their head against the wall. Sometimes what happens with repetitive act of behavior also, some autistic child have this behavior of banging their heads on the wall because they like this movement so much, so they will keep on doing the same thing, and in as a result they will, of course, they will self injure themselves only, right? And due to the nature of this difficulties in terms of verbal and non-verbal communication, individuals with autism spectrum disorder, they tend to experience difficulties in even starting, maintaining, and even understanding relationships. Okay. Next, we have intellectual disability, and you all have already come across this term intellectual disability in chapter 1 when we were doing variations in intelligence, right? So here we have again, intellectual disability. Let's just sum it up by saying that intellectual disability, it refers to below average intellectual functioning. So a child who have an IQ of approximately 70 or below 70, that child is regarded to be intellectually disabled. And deficits or impairments in adaptive behavior, that is in the areas of communication, self-care, home living, social or interpersonal skills, functional, academic skills, work, etc. If they're having any kind of impairment in all these other adaptive behaviors, then also the child is having some kind of intellectual disability. Okay. So these are manifested before the age of 18 years. Manifested before 18 years means this all if the child is having any problem with self-care, having problems in the area of communication, then home living, not being able to communicate, not being able to interact, not being able to develop a healthy relationship with anyone. There is functional difficulty, whether it is in academic skill or any other work, and also, most importantly, an IQ of 70 or below. They are seen before the age of 18 years. Okay, so before the 18 years of age, if we are looking at a child and we can see all these uh, difficulties in a child, then we can term that child to be an intellectually disabled child. All right, so that is intellectual disability. Then we have specific learning disorder. So in case of specific learning disorder, the individual experiences difficulty in perceiving or processing information efficiently and accurately. So with specific learning disorder, maybe the child will not be able to learn properly and also to grab and process the information efficiently and accurately. The child will have problem in that. And this get manifested during early school years, and the individual encounters problems in basic reading, writing, and or mathematics. So this all whatever we have done till now, that is autism, ADHD, intellectual disability, and also specific learning disorder, these are all interrelated, because many times there is a combination of this disorder in one child only. We can say this: if a child is autistic, we can also assume that the child might be having an IQ below 70, okay, or approximately 70. Also, the child may be having difficulty in learning disorder. Okay, that means in basic reading and writing and arithmetic, the child might be having problem. The child will not be able to understand the letters. Instead of P, the child may see it as D. Instead of 9, the child may see it as P. Getting the point? So the affected child tends to perform below average for his or her age. Now, however, individuals may be able to reach acceptable performance levels with additional inputs and efforts, but specific learning disorder is likely to impair functioning and performance in activities or occupations dependent on the related skills. This one we will discuss much broader in our live session. Okay. Next up, we have disruptive impulse control and conduct disorders. Now, the disorders included under this category are oppositional defiant disorder, conduct disorder, and others. So, children with oppositional defiant disorder, in short known as ODD, display age inappropriate amounts of stubbornness. So, they are very stubborn, they are very irritable, defiant, disobedient, and behave in a hostile manner. Individuals with ODD do not see themselves as angry, oppositional, or defiant, and often justify their behavior as a reaction to circumstances or demands. They do not see themselves to be angry. They do not see themselves to be, opposite and opposing things. What the parents are saying, they will not behave in that way. They will not obey their parents, and instead they will say that they will blame it to the circumstance. They will say that they have reacted it because of the other demands. Okay. So therefore the symptoms of the disorder become entangled with the problematic interactions with others. So that is ODD. Under that, we also have another disorder known as conduct disorder and antisocial behavior. Now, this conduct disorder and antisocial behavior, it refers to age inappropriate actions and attitudes that violate family expectations, societal norms, and the personal or property rights of others. Okay, so basically, in antisocial behavior, there is this conduct disorder. They basically engage themselves in some kind of acts which are not legally right, and they also violate certain rules and regulations where they do not have any personal or property rights, and they violate those rights of even other people. So the behavior of conduct disorder include aggressive actions that cause or threaten harm to people or animals, non-aggressive conduct that causes property damage, major deceitfulness or theft, deceitfulness, telling any lies, okay, and making fool of other people. And then there are some serious rule violations as well. And children show many different types of aggressive behavior, such as verbal aggression, that is name calling, swearing, physical aggression, that is hitting or fighting, hostile aggression, that is directed at inflicting injury to others, and there is also proactive aggression, that is dominating and bullying others without provocation. So these are all under conduct disorder and antisocial behavior. Next, we have feeding and eating disorders, which is another group of disorders which are of special interest to young people. Okay, so these are eating disorders, and this includes anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and binge eating. Anorexia nervosa, you have already come across this. I don't know you know or not, but I'm pretty sure you have heard about it. So in anorexia nervosa, the individual has a distorted body image that leads her or him to see herself or himself as overweight. And they often see that, you know, a model like structure, shape and structure of the body is very perfect for them, and they look at themselves to be overweight. And this is very common during adolescence age, where they often cling to certain kind of diet, or also some adolescents cling to, you know, mm, dieting, fasting, and also starvation in order to reduce weight and become slim. So often refusing to eat, exercising compulsively, they exercise so much in order to just reduce their weight, and developing unusual habits such as refusing to eat in front of others. So the person with anorexia may lose large amounts of weight and even starve herself or himself to death, as I said. So that is anorexia nervosa. There is another kind of eating disorder which is known as bulimia nervosa. In bulimia nervosa, the individual may eat excessive amounts of food, then purge her or his body of food by using medicines such as laxatives or diuretics, or by vomiting. Okay, so the person often feels disgusted and ashamed when she or he binges, and is relieved of tension and negative emotions after purging. So what they do is that bulimia nervosa, the person will keep on eating, binge eating, uh, to such an extent where at one point they will reach where they will not feel comfortable enough, until and unless they are mm, uncomfortably filled with food. Then they will say that, okay, now I'm done, my stomach is full, I have eaten too much. And then they will think that, oh my god, I have eaten so much, I have to now just mm, purged out. That means they will self-induce, they will eat certain, they will take certain laxatives or diuretics, or also they will self-induce certain vomitings, okay, and then they will feel good after that, after doing that. So that is also one kind of eating disorder only, because see, first they will eat to such an extent where they will feel uncomfortable enough, and then they will uh, engage in some purging act. Of course it is not normal, right? Other eating disorder under this we have is binge eating. So in binge eating there are frequent episodes of out of control eating. So the individual tends to eat at a higher speed than normal and continues eating till he or she feels uncomfortably full. In fact, large amount of food may be eaten even when the individual is not feeling hungry. So in binge eating, basically the individual will keep on eating, and there is no such thing as purging in binge eating. The person will just keep on eating, even though the person might not be hungry, but still there have to be something or the other to eat. So that is binge eating. Okay, so please go through the slides once again, and if you feel that something is not clear, please feel free to ask me. Thank you.